What's up, and welcome back to All the Shit, a conversation about life for young men and big kids who never really grew up, like me. Thanks for checking in. One thing I really struggle with, and I suspect I'm not alone, is finding purpose in my life and trying to figure out how to responsibly split time between what I have to do and what I want to do. If you're anything like me, you feel some sense of urgency to contribute to the world in what you consider to be a meaningful way, using your unique talents and skill set. Maybe you haven't found your purpose yet, but you still know that what you're doing right now, this ain't it. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever found yourself sitting in a classroom or a meeting, so bored that you're struggling to pay attention, let alone stay awake?
Yo, teach! This shit is boring!
Maybe you're on the opposite side of the spectrum and just fantasize about going full Hulk mode and just burning the place down.
Your PowerPoint sucks, Phil! Janice? Don't start with me, Karen. Don't start!
Man, if you can't relate to that, then this probably isn't the channel for you. I saw a question from a young man recently who framed this feeling in such a visceral way that it shook me. I know we're not the only two feeling this way, so let's dig into this a little bit. He says, "I'm not really sure what to do at this point in my life. I've gotten to the point where I don't really want to continue, but it's not bad enough to end it. If I had the option to curl up in a little ball and sleep for 100 years, I'd take it without a second thought. I've got enough stuff going on for me to be interested in my day-to-day life, but anything more than that, and I'm just extremely bored. It's almost as if all those years and countless hours spent engaging in pure, uncut escapism have finally caught up to me, causing me to find nothing but boredom and mundanity in the real world. It's like I've realized the days and hours spent daydreaming about something interesting finally happening would never actually happen, and my finely built reality is falling apart overhead like a mirror shattering into a million pieces. I can't stand the thought of having a career or working a normal job for the next 50 years, and I really don't know where to go from here." Dude, thank you for asking this question. It takes a lot of guts to express a deep emotion like this, and articulate those feelings in a way that allow others to feel it too. Yeah, there's gonna be people out there playing their tiny violins and telling you to suck it up, and that you should be grateful for everything you have. Grateful for a childhood that allowed you the time and the freedom to have those daydreams and waste all those hours. I'm not one of those people. Honestly, I think most people go through this at least once in life. I know I have, on more than one occasion.
Yeah, it's more of a weekly thing around here.
Now, I'm not a doctor, but I do know how to use Google, and I suspect you may be struggling with Acedia.
Huh? No. I see you just fine. Thanks to this video you got going here.
Sorry, let's try that again. Acedia, derived from the ancient Greek, meaning a lack of care, concern, or grief. It's a general malaise, that boredom that you're talking about. Here's another theory. Try this on for size. You said you're interested in your day-to-day life, but anything more than that brings on that feeling of boredom. Similarly, you said you find the real world to be boring and mundane compared to those daydreams. Is it possible that you find the real world boring because it's scary?
What are you, deaf? I said boring, not scary.
Hold on. Let me explain. Here, this is my dog Jolene. She's half red-bone coonhound, half beagle, and a complete ball of energy. She will chase anything on our property. Check that. Anything she thinks is on her property, and tear it to pieces. The mailman and delivery drivers fear her, and she's notched a small zoo's worth of rabbits, skunks, and raccoons in her collar. She's one of the most protective, happy, and carefree dogs I've ever seen, while she's in her comfort zone. Last year, my wife and I were going on a trip, and we had to find a kennel for the dogs. We found the perfect spot, this place that lets the dogs run free and play during the day, but has separate sleeping quarters. The catch was, we had to take them in for an evaluation day to make sure that they got along well with the other dogs. No problem, right? I think you can probably guess where I'm going with this. Jolene failed her evaluation. But here's the thing. She didn't fail for the reasons that I would have expected her to. She wasn't aggressive toward other dogs. She didn't terrorize the people at the kennel or murder a small animal that had the misfortune of crossing her path. As soon as they let her loose in the play area, with plenty of room to run and explore, and several other high-energy dogs to play with, Jolene just froze. She started yawning and panting, as if simultaneously bored and anxious. She wouldn't play with any of the other dogs. She hardly moved. She stood there panting and foaming at the mouth until they finally called me to come and get her. Everything worked out. We had somebody come and house sit so the dogs could stay home and be comfortable. But that's not the point. The point is that a 2-year-old puppy with boundless energy and a fiery temperament was completely muted by anxiety and fear when she faced the uncertainty of unfamiliar territory. Why would we be any different? It's normal to fear the unknown. It's one of the defining characteristics of being human. At least half the shit we've ever invented was born out of the necessity to feel safe in an uncertain world. Think about it. How quickly do you freak out if your GPS stops working in the middle of a road trip? Or what about when your internet goes down and you're forced outside your virtual bubble for an indeterminate amount of time? It's amazing how quickly being outside your comfort zone can stress you out. You enjoy your day-to-day because it's known, it's safe, and it's predictable. You say anything more than that is boring. Well, it's not. It's just unknown, which can be scary.
Okay. So what do I do about it?
Take a deep breath and relax. When you start to think about the real world and that sensation of boredom starts to creep back in, go back to your daydreams. What did you daydream about? You said it was that something interesting would finally happen. What does that mean for you? What do you consider interesting? In other words, what are you passionate about? Here's an unsolicited life lesson, but it's free, so you're welcome. Life doesn't happen to you. You have to make it happen. The best way to give your daydreams a chance at becoming reality is to take action, regardless of how boring, mundane, scary, and overwhelming it may be. You say you can't stand the thought of having a normal job for the next 50 years. Man, I get that. I feel that. I'm living it right now, and I'm fighting to get out. But here's the thing. The best parts of life are what happen outside of that normal job. That's the space where you get to pursue your passion and your purpose. Go back to those daydreams and think about what they were really saying to you. In your wildest imagination, what excited you enough to daydream about it so often? Find a way to pursue that. It may never be a one-for-one swap with your real job, but you'll never know unless you try. Plus, you'll get to have some fun living those daydreams along the way. You'll also start to home in on what your passion truly is. Take me for example. I quit my day job in my mid-20s and started a small business doing corporate wellness and personal training. I loved coaching people. I loved helping them reclaim their health and their lives through fitness and nutrition. That business proved to be financially unsustainable, and after 3 years, I found myself back in a real job so I could pay the bills. But I kept coaching on the side, and I volunteered at a high school mentorship program. I started spending my nights and weekends working on a book for young men, which ultimately became All the Shit I Wish I Knew in High School, which you can listen to for free at thathighschoolbook.com. I did all of this while also having a real job. It took me nearly 20 years to realize this, but fitness wasn't my passion. Yeah, it was something that I liked to do, but my passion was helping people. That's what kept me coaching. That's what led me into mentoring. That's what led me into managing. It's ultimately what led me to this project. I just like helping people. That's my passion, and that's what I want to do. You may not know what you want to do right now, and the prospect of an uncertain and unknowable future might feel pretty intimidating. That feeling can manifest outwardly in many ways, and it can happen to anyone at any age. The best way to overcome it is to take action. Do what you have to do for now to support yourself, whether that's making sure you stay awake in class or pay attention during that meeting. But keep daydreaming and taking steps to incorporate those daydreams into your day-to-day life. Even if you do wind up working that normal job for the next 50 years, you'll find a lot more joy and contentment in your life if you use that time in between to move forward in pursuit of your passions. For more information and to listen to the audiobook All the Shit I Wish I Knew in High School, please visit thathighschoolbook.com. Until our next check-in, don't quit your daydream.